Hi everybody, just wanted to quickly take some time to go over some hitting footage from the JV Jamboree. We're going to be looking at some attacks from the outside hitters and how we might be successful or more successful at defending some of these plays just based on what we're seeing as trends in the way that outside hitters are setting up for the ball. So let's roll the first clip. Here's a great block by our middle, Mackenzie. I told her, as with most teams, Harbor JV likes to go to their outside hitters as often as they can, especially when they're out of system. And so the way she sets up for this block, she places herself between the hitter's hand, the ball, and its intended destination. And so that's why this block is successful. A note for our outside hitters who play middle back, or for any back row players, try to avoid being behind the block. If we're reading that this hitter is coming in and committing to a swing basically at our block, we want to not be behind the blocker. The only time we're going to move up is if we see a hole in the block and we want to fill that space. You will see that our middle back, or our outside hitter, Naomi here, makes a move into the line. Not sure what she's looking at, but this move takes her directly behind the block. And so when a hitter is making contact, we want to pick our spot, be stopped and stable, and ready to dig the ball. I'm not a big fan of the move that she made behind the block here. So this next clip actually starts off with a double commit from our libero and our outside hitter. A little bit of a scramble play situation, I get it, but you'll notice that Maddie is actually the front row outside hitter. And so for her to leave her post of being in the front left corner and playing a ball in the back left corner, that's outside of her zone of responsibility. So we really want to avoid that. We see the block developing pretty well here. There's not a lot of space between our blockers' hands. And so all that happens is the hitter took a hard swing at our blockers and got a block touch out. This is a play that's very common in volleyball and so should not be taken as a blocking error. Just a good swing by the hitter. One thing I do want to point out, though, is that this defensive formation could be a little better. There's a lot of space in the back left corner, and so if the ball were to go there, we would be kind of done. I always tell the athletes it's easier to react forward than to react backwards, and so we want to make sure that we're playing a little bit deeper. Maddie, our off blocker, needs to be a little bit more towards the center, covering the tip. That way, our middle back and our left back can just be sitting a little bit deeper in the court, ready to move up if they need to. So this play begins with an out of system. Here our libero has to take the second ball and we end up sending a free ball. This free ball could have been better if it was sent to the right side of the court. Looks like Harbor is playing in a 6-2, which is common with a lot of teams. And so just generating a little bit of value would be really ideal. Instead, we send it middle back. So what happens next is the set gets pushed to the outside hitter. And I want you guys to watch closely how she approaches and hits this ball and where it is in relationship to her body. If you see here, it almost looks like the ball is drifting past her. And so this is just a misread of the hitter. She did not put herself in the best spot for this ball. And so if I were number 12, Maddie, I would be sitting in the line. As soon as I see this ball and her late contact on it, I would already be in the line of her approach. Lucky for us, the ball was out. This last clip shows us a little bit of information about the Harbor offense. Number one, their middles aren't going to be a threat. And so when we're playing them tonight, be aware that their middles are not going to be as lethal as their outside hitters. And so I want our middles to prioritize going to block on the outside hitter versus blocking on the middle or even the right side. All right. But what you can see here, Cecile, the hitter we just looked at in the last clip with the ball that was a little late that she took a swing at more into the line seam, now has a much different look at a set. If you notice, this set is inside, and you can see that she hits it before it crosses her body. And so what I need to see in our defenders is, one, there's a solo block situation. Hannah's up by herself. And so Naomi needs to move into the angle based on what she's seeing here. You can tell that she's coming in at an angle on the ball. And so Naomi and Evie both need to be sitting in the angle. And what I would like to see, if you're ever looking down a hitter who is big and coming down on the net at you, is to be in a little bit more of a ready position, low and ready to react, instead of tall, a little bit like Evie is. Okay, so positionally, having the outside and the libero stick into the angle because we read that there's only one blocker up, and two, being in a digging position, ready to make a play on the ball. All right, I hope this video presentation was helpful, one, in granting some insight into how to read some hitters, and two, teaching you a little bit about how to position yourself in relationship to the blocker on your team, in relationship to the other defenders around you, and also in relationship to what hitters like to do in certain situations. Please reach out if you have any questions, and go Mariners.